it's over when Nikki drops in.
Have you had enough of this bullshit? I know I have. I think it's time we have a little chat. So for the better part of a week now, I've been playing this game called Ground Branch. Now, a few days ago, I found out that you can actually play it in third person. It's not perfect, but I've been thoroughly enjoying it. It's been a breath of fresh air and a nice break from the clown show of an industry that modern gaming has become. I was John Wicking my way through some of the Ground Branch's more close quarters maps, doing my best "you killed my dog" impression, when all of a sudden it hit me. I miss third-person shooter games, like good ones. I've played a ton of shooters in my day. Call of Duty Big Red 1 was the gateway drug that pulled me into the world of online competitive play. I played it on a PlayStation 2 with a wired controller and dial-up internet. Holy crap, that almost hurts to say. But before that, I had put in countless hours with games like Siphon Filter, Omega Strain, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, SOCOM, Metal Gear Solid. And when I look back on my time as a gamer, from the Sega Genesis hand-me-down all the way to the modern-day beast of a machine that my wife got me for my birthday, thanks babe, some of the fondest memories were sneaking around in enemy territory, navigating my way into secured areas, hunched over in a cardboard box, leaving footprints in the snow and evading the dreaded sound of discovery. Maybe it was just because I was so young and impressionable, or maybe it was just such a new experience. The idea of me not staring at a 16-inch VCR television for hours at a time was unavoidable. I don't know. What I do know is that I haven't felt that kind of magic in a very, very long time. I mean, gaming just isn't what it was. It's more obvious now than ever. Is it me? Am I just getting older and growing out of the magic, or did something else happen? FPS games are great and all, but we need more of what built the gaming industry as we know it today. And Call of Duty games didn't do it by themselves. Did you know that there are 21 Call of Duty titles? 21. Now, if you told me in 2005 that there would be 21 Call of Duty games by 2023, I'd have thought you were huffing something. Now, it's pretty commonplace to think that it'll probably double that before they inevitably slaughter the IP like a dry cow and just move on. But that's an entirely different issue. Just in doing research for this video, I discovered that Steam doesn't even list third person as a search tag when you're looking for action shooter games. You have to actually prompt the search box, which is crazy to me. There's just something different about third person games though. Look at it like this. If Naughty Dog came out and said The Last of Us will now be available in first person mode, we'd try it. But there's no way it could deliver on the same emotional experience that the third-person camera provided. I mean, you could argue that cutscenes can deliver the emotion for FPS games, but ultimately, The Last of Us works so well because you can feel a sense of responsibility for Ellie and Joel. Sure, the writing is unparalleled, but between the buttery smooth animations and the way they interact with the environment, it just rings a different bell for me that FPS games rarely accomplish, if ever. Now, it's all preference, of course. Some people really love the in-your-face visceral action of a first-person shooter, and well, you know, I get it, because I do too. But as Tony Robbins puts it, if we get total certainty, we get bored out of our minds. So God, with his infinite wisdom, gave us another human need. We need variety, we need surprise, and I'd be willing to take it a step further and say we need innovation and new experiences. Think back over the years of some of the most satisfying or emotionally rewarding gameplay experiences you've ever had. Like me, maybe you really loved The Last of Us before Pedro Pascal was crowned the internet's new daddy. Ugh, but maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was Tomb Raider, Resident Evil, or Hitman. Maybe you're a bit younger, and for you it's games like The Division, Red Dead Redemption, or Uncharted. There's just something magical about a good third-person game when it's done right. Maybe that's why Grand Theft Auto RP servers are so popular. How many of you actually play GTA 5 in first person, though? The gaming industry as a whole is suffering. We've been hearing this for a while, but it hasn't really improved. I mean, look at releases nowadays. It takes AAA studios 4 to 5 years just to make a decent game, 10 to 15 to make a great one. But then you have to tack on another 2 to 3 years worth of post-launch development to fix all the bullshit they could have avoided by just listening to consumers in the first place. Remember when you go sit in line at GameStop on release day on a chilly November evening for a couple hours with the boys, and then you rush home shortly after midnight full of excitement and anticipation? You'd insert that round disc into the console, and what booted up was a finished, polished experience. Digital downloads came with a convenience, but in my opinion, they've completely destroyed quality control. Take Payday 3, for example. I've seen some bad launches in my day, but damn, Their servers were down for almost 2 days.
We are well into the second week post-launch at the time of recording this video, and the servers, regardless of what the devs say on Twitter, are still broken.
To add to the drama, the Payday player base was trying to tell the devs for like months on end that the always online model was a no-go, but they decided to launch it anyway, and when the day finally arrived for everybody to play it, the whole damn thing was broken. Imagine owning a company that makes a particular product for a specific customer. You pitch an idea to the customers, they tell you they hate it. So what do? Do you listen to the people buying your product? No. And the icing on the cake, I'm just gonna say it, Payday 3 isn't even that great. Not because the concept is bad or the gameplay style is wrong, the execution is just kind of meh. It very clearly needed more time in the oven, or maybe even a more innovative developer that wants to exceed expectations and not just cash in on a cheap experience using advertising gimmicks. But at this point, apologies just don't cut it anymore. Fun fact, if you didn't already know, the famous rapper turned TV personality Ice-T has a special mission in Payday 3. On the night of release, he actually appeared on a live stream with the producer from Payday 2 named Almir. Immediately after joining the stream, the whole broadcast began to fall apart. The lack of competence surrounding this game and everybody that touches it is absolutely astounding. And that's a huge piece of the puzzle here. Game launches have become so deadline focused because of quarterly projections and alpha phase upscaled visual promises made to consumers in showcases like E3 or Gamescom. But here's the hard truth. Nobody in the gaming industry that wears a suit and tie to work gives a damn about the average gamer, and they're the ones with the power of the purse. Welcome to AAA Gaming in 2023. It's in the developers' best interest to make their games as playable as possible as soon as possible, and more often than not, they seem to be falling short. But you rarely hear about a studio just knocking it out of the park. Shout out to Larian Studios and their work on Baldur's Gate. Props, guys. Which, by the way, has brought them a lot of heat from other developers. Now, why do you think that is? Is it because Larian Studios set an unreachable standard for other developers like they claim? Or is it maybe the suits that are angry because the CEO of Larian Studios cares more about the player base than pleasing investors, and by doing so exposes the entire industry in the process? Really though, I feel like I've been playing the same reskinned first-person shooters over and over and over since Call of Duty Modern Warfare dropped in November of 2007. It's mind-numbing, and maybe that's the whole point. When the developers reach the end of a development cycle and you get a release date, you can be sure that one of three things is going to happen. The game is either 1, going to be delayed, 2, it's going to show up on time but it'll be a broken mess, or 3, it just never even leaves development. What do we do about it? We piss and moan about it on Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube, but we still buy the damn game. I think the only way to end this depressing loop of lackluster releases is to stop pre-ordering games. Because here's the reality. Even if you spent the money early for that extra premium DLC or a week of early access, more often than not, the game won't be finished when you get it.
So all you're doing is encouraging these developers to ship unfinished products. And the only real hope of that changing anytime soon is for gamers to start voting with their wallets. And for these popular content creators to stop overhyping these games before the game ships and ends up totally broken. And you gotta make these awkward apology videos.
Another trend you're seeing more regularly now is the games as a service business model. It's way more profitable. It's gotten so bad now that every time I turn on the TV, I see a new advertisement for Fortnite offering some new TikTok trend as a purchasable DLC. Like, this is all thanks to microtransactions and DLC bundles aimed at teenagers and even younger kids. They know that they can make a game free to play and people just keep spending more and more money on cosmetic bullshit than they ever would have just buying the game at full price on release. But with all the developers slowly taking on that model, the focus shifts from creating new experiences to just reskinning the old ones. Then you end up with fewer new IPs and a fire hose of cosmetic DLC bundles, which, by the way, takes development resources. So when your servers are and you can't play, at least you can always access the store to buy the new banana costume for Snoop Dogg, which isn't a thing yet. Now compare that to all these smaller studios passionately working on their new IPs and making experiences the players are looking for. Now they may not have the same resources as the behemoths in the industry, but they also don't have to live under the thumb of the investors either. Which brings me back to why I find myself playing more and more games made by smaller and smaller studios. But most of us, including myself, haven't made a big enough deal out of this. Games as a service has made it okay to ship lackluster products time and time again, and we've made it okay every time you swipe the credit card so you can express yourself with some cosmetic DLC and multiplayer lobbies.
Bang, bang, bang.
Now, not all DLC is bad, and as a game developer, you would certainly think that the buck ultimately stops with you. If investors are causing these issues and it's not an internal issue with loss of passion, then scale it back. Create smaller, more memorable experiences. After all, with AI technology and the ever more user-friendly game engines, the skill gap is quickly closing, and it's now easier than ever to create a gaming experience with less resources. In conclusion, I think there are less third-person shooters nowadays for the same reasons that game shipping unfinished has become the new normal. It's more profitable to recycle the same games on the same engines and bedazzle them with a bunch of surface-level content that does nothing for most gamers over the age of 18. And here's my prediction for the future. AAA development teams with 50-plus employees will soon be a very small minority of the gaming industry as a whole. Technology has ultimately leveled the playing field, and gamers are tired of seeing the same old movie over and over again. At the end of the day, it's all about money. And when we start voting with our wallets, we can begin to reclaim the feeling of magic that we are all still desperately searching for.